Welcome again to Briterion Bollection.
Yes, we're back at it again.
Yeah, and we're closing out our Pride Month, late Pride Month.
Yes, very, very late Pride Month. And not just Pride Month, but season one as well.
Yeah. How have you enjoyed this season so far?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good. I just wish that we would have gotten more episodes done, but life happens and we just have to keep going and try to make up for it whenever we can. But if we just run out of time, we run out of time.
Yeah, exactly. But we're not really going to take a break. Season 2 will pick up pretty much right where we left off. That'll be coming very soon,
Yeah.
like by the end of the week soon. So we're doing one last film, and what film is that, Aileen?
So, since we said during our episode of Crazy, we said that we were talking about French toxic masculinity, and this will continue with this movie. And this is it's actually a French Belgian production, and it's called Ma Vie en Rose, and this was directed by Alain Bellinet.
Okay. And so when did you first see this?
Well, this is what I'm about to get to. So I actually remember that I randomly saw the DVD at the Chula Vista Library, more specifically the Civic Center branch, because this was maybe almost, if it wasn't 20 years ago, it was almost 20 years ago. And I remember that at the time, I was going to that library quite a bit. And I don't remember seeing that movie other than at that location. So I remember I had never heard of the movie before, so I just picked it up and I saw the cover and I thought I was pretty intrigued, honestly. I thought I saw this child, but I wasn't really sure what else was going on other than they're wearing a veil and they really had this kind of feminine aspect to them. But I thought, you know what? This seems really interesting. I'm checking it out. And really, it was the first movie that I was really conscious of the main character being transgender. So I was around 18 or 19 when I first saw it, and I was pretty, I would say I was relatively unfamiliar with the whole transgender aspect. And I was actually surprised that they would have a release for it in the Americas, just due to all the bigotry that has oc- that has occurred over the years, and we still see some of it to this day. Yeah, so that's how I first heard about it.
Yeah, and I think I heard about it, yeah, like in '03 or '04. People I knew in college, my first couple years of college, community college that I went to, the people I knew who I was hanging out with then, I wanted to emulate them and kind of, be cool, quote unquote, like them. And I remember I would see this movie on a lot of their MySpace pages, like the movies that they liked. I would see that, and I was like, huh. I was like, I guess I should watch that. So I remember seeing it. I think it was at Blockbuster one time. They did have it, and so I checked it out, and I thought, oh, this should be cool. It's French. I didn't really know what it was about. I mean, I read the back of the box, but still, kind of was a little bit confused. But yeah, so I watched the film and I thought it was pretty cool. And even at the time, I feel like maybe I was too young. I didn't get it enough. It was really ahead of its time as far as the transgender movement. It was really ahead of its time. If this was like a taboo movie, like I mentioned on the Crazy podcast, like Europe is just really ahead of the US and the UK. Like they're definitely ahead of the UK, but so if they're ahead of the UK, they're way ahead of the US.
Oh,
They're a lot more progressive. So in the US, people only started hearing about transgenderism maybe like 10 years ago, like with Caitlyn Jenner and stuff like that.
not even Caitlyn Jenner, to be honest. So here's the thing: the first time that I wanted to become more informed about the transgender community was when Jazz Jennings became public and was just really. Do you remember that one time we went to this bookstore in San Francisco and they had a book on Jess Jennings.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then not long after they had her show on TLC where they showed her while she was transitioning, and it was basically a reality.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What year was that?
I remember when I first heard of her, I think it was maybe around 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is way before that. This is 97.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right.
So, yeah, you can definitely tell that they were ahead of their time already if this was the 90s.
Right. And, you saw characters who were kind of similar to this in Almodovar movies, but you didn't really see a lot of their backstory and their kind of turmoil in dealing with their identities. It was just kind of like that's what they are, and here's a funny scenario that
they were definitely not the protagonists. So
yeah,
that's what you're
yeah,
trying to say.
yeah. So this is the first time I had ever really seen that in a film. So it was pretty ahead of its time, I would say. Even though this is also not on Criterion yet, right?
No, it's not.
It's kind of shocking. I'm sure it'll happen one day for it.
Yeah, but when?
It's all about licensing.
Pick it up.
Well, it's the studios. I mean, maybe Canal. I don't know. Was it Canal Plus who
You know what?
did the distribution?
Where is the case? I thought I just had it here a moment ago.
I don't know. Did you put it away?
No, I had it here.
Oh, well, I don't know where it's at.
Okay, well, wherever it is, but you know what? I'll just Google it. It's a lot easier than looking for the DVD.
Yeah, that's why phones were invented. So, what did you want to get into talking about the film, or do you want to talk about something else before?
So, how about, I was thinking, or should we read the Wikipedia
Yeah,
description?
you can pull it up.
Sure. Well, since I'm already pulling it up, I'm going to. Okay, yeah, you're right. The main production company was Canal Plus, which we already know that's pretty big in France. Yeah. So Eurimage, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Yeah. So CNC, which would be CNC, but just saying it
in French.
Yes. And then
CNC Music Factory.
I guess, and then TF1 Films Production.
Okay.
Yeah, the last one. So those are the production companies. Okay, we'll get to. It's kind of a long description, just letting you know.
I'll try to condense it.
Okay, I'll try to condense it really quick. All right. So this is the Wikipedia. It's the plot, and the plot is pretty long. Okay, or how about, you know what? Screw Wikipedia. I'm going to IMDb because I know that oftentimes their plot summary is relatively short.
Yeah.
Yep.
They don't want to write paragraphs for their little blurb.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read the IMDb plot summary.
Yes.
It says Ludovic is a transgender girl who is coming out. She talks of marrying her neighbor's son and cannot understand why everyone is so surprised about it. Her family and neighbors struggle with her actions. It's pretty short.
That's pretty concise.
Yeah.
But that does explain the plot.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Do you want to start talking about it?
Yeah, sure. All right. So we see the film opening up with a French couple. They're relatively young. We assume that they're around their 30s. And they're kind of quirky. So we assume that they're getting ready to go to a big party because you can see the husband is putting on the dress shirt, the wife is putting on a nice dress. So yeah. All right. So they're talking about another family, the family. Cut to, we see another couple getting ready, putting on similar outfits. We see a big bearded guy and his brunette wife. That's all we know. There's not a lot of description. You just hear them having short conversations. And we cut to, we see another couple getting ready. You can assume that they look a little more hip than the first two couples. The mom is pretty and she is yelling out for someone named Zoe. Yeah.
Which is one of our favorite bands, right?
Yes, if you're familiar with the Mexican band Soy. Yes. What a way to just suddenly put in other subjects there. But okay, cool. And just call them Soy, not Zoe, as I've heard other people call them. And it's like, you know, when the chalk just runs through the whiteboard in that squeaky, annoying sound, and it just really fills your ears. Just, yeah, I
Yeah.
compare that pronunciation to that sound.
Right. And our cat Tom really likes soy too, right?
Yeah.
He's a big fan.
Yes, he is. And he's just sitting here.
He's nodding.
Yeah, so he's behind the scenes.
Right.
Hmm.
He's producing the show today.
Yeah, if he's not walking around. Okay. All right. So after we see all the three couples getting ready, we eventually see that they're actually all attending the same gathering. So they're all coinciding. And we see that it's actually a birthday party outside one of their houses. And you can see that it's in a patio. And we see upstairs inside that house, there is a kid dressing up. Okay, so the grandma is wearing pink and she's driving by in her yellow car, and the dad in the family welcomes her. The other families in the neighborhood come to the party and they start breaking the ice. They figure that they can actually speak to each other in tu form, not in vous form. If you know the differences, it's just as in Spanish when you use tú and usted. You use tú when you want to be more familiar with the person, but you use usted when you want to be more formal or you're not very familiar with the person, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way that they start communicating amongst each other. The dad introduces his family, which is actually the last couple that we see getting ready. So he introduces his wife and his older kids. The kid who is getting dressed upstairs starts walking down the stairs and almost trips on their heels. They make a grand entrance to the party in the patio, and the kid is dressed like a pink Frida Kahlo, according to Kevin.
Yeah. With the head dress and yeah. This reminds me a lot of her.
Well, that's interesting because I think they were supposed to resemble more of a princess rather than Frida Kahlo. So this child is standing there, and the crowd doesn't exactly know what to make of it. They just stare at them. And the dad says, "This is Ludovic. He is the joker of the family." And all the guests just start clapping. They're like, "Hey!"
Yeah.
When the dad introduces them. And Ludovic just stands there. And then we see the mom starts washing off Ludovic's makeup in the bathroom and gives them a lecture about coming out dressed like that in front of other people. The dad is not very pleased that that he would come out to the patio in front of all these other people, at least with a dress and flowers on his hair.
Right.
Yeah. Then we see the grandma doesn't really like the Edith Piaf music as she considers it to be a little too old. So she busts out some house music
Yeah.
for all the other guests to listen, and she starts dancing. Ludovic goes and dances with her, and he's happy to just be in her presence.
Yeah, she's a cool grandma.
Yeah.
I would love it if she was my grandma. Just the fact that she's hip.
Yeah, exactly. I would have liked to have her as a family member as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, we see that they're at school and they're doing a show and tell. And most of the kids brought either Game Boys or other types of electronics. But then we see Ludovic showing two dolls who resemble Barbie and Ken. And the kids start laughing at him for playing with dolls. The teacher does find it interesting, though, that this would be his choice of toys. The bearded guy's son, Jérôme, brought a toy truck. And he happens to pull out an earring, which apparently belongs to Ludovic.
Right.
Yes. So you can see that he has pulls out the earring, but none of the kids know why he has it. Only Ludovic realizes that's mine.
Okay. So at recess, Ludovic sees Jerome. Jerome throws a rock towards him playfully, not trying to hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells him that he lost something. And so she meaning Ludo, says, "You did too." And he shows the earring
Mm-hmm.
to her.
Mm-hmm.
And Ludo's grandma picks her up from school.
Right here he's still a he.
Yeah,
Actually.
okay. So his grandma picks him up from school at that point, and Ludo has a fantasy of his dolls based on some website that he goes to, and it's like another version of Barbie's dream house, basically, like a French Barbie's dream house. And he dances to the theme song with the grandma, which I really like. The theme song; it's very cool.
Yeah, it is.
So it was Zazie. The song is called Rose by Zazie, who's a big French singer. I like some of her songs. And his grandma shows him a music box, and she tells him to imagine the world how he wishes it was, and so he envisions that, and he sees himself in a dress in this music box world. And we cut to Ludovic is back at home, and his mom is trimming his hair. He has kind of a long bobbish looking hair. You haven't seen this?
Yeah, I had my hair like that at one point in high school, and I feel that looking back, I looked pretty silly with it.
I mean, I guess it's not for everyone. It's hard to pull off.
No, but I feel that Ludovic pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah, it matches him. So they're at the house of Albert, the bearded guy, the big bearded guy. Ludo's mom is talking to his wife as she is tailoring her dress. And Ludovic is with Jerome because that's their son.
Yeah.
And they both go into Jerome's sister's room and they see her girly toys. And they start playing with the toys like they're getting married. And they pretend the big teddy bear is the priest who's marrying them, marrying Jerome and
Ludovic.
yeah. And then Jerome's mom suddenly takes a peek at their ceremony. She walks in and she sees everything going on, and they look back at her like, and Jerome is kind of like, he's
freaking out.
yeah. And Ludo's like, and she faints at the sight of that. She's like, oh my God, like, I can't see that.
Yeah, of course.
And then Ludovic then fantasizes that his doll Pam ties up both of the moms, his mom and Jerome's mom.
Yes.
And he flies off with her and Jerome to be happy in their little world that they have.
Of course.
And then
Barbie dream house type of world.
French Barbie dream house.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so, but then we cut to Ludo's mom makes him snap out of his whole thing, the wanting to marry Jerome and the fact that he wears dresses, and she's yelling at him that Lisette's daughter, who happens to be Jerome's mom, so that her daughter and his sister, she had passed away, and what they both did in her room was actually disrespectful to her. And he says, how would I have known that? But then she said, you're 7 and you should not be dressing up like that. So she wonders what is wrong with him, to which she tells her that one day he will marry Jerome. She tells him a boy cannot marry another boy. So then, not just that, but Ludo also tells her that he will be a girl. And she says, that is nonsense. You will not be a girl. So now that he has revealed that he will be a girl, now we are going to change her pronouns to she, her, because this makes it official.
There you go.
Yes. All right. So then we now see, and back home, Ludo's father is not happy with her mannerisms, and he is upset at Hannah, his wife, for not cutting Ludo's hair shorter. He is now ashamed, as people outside the family know, specifically the neighbors. They already know, especially Albert and Lisette.
Yeah. And the neighbors who they're close with. It's not just some asshole neighbors that you never talk to. They're actually like friends with them. So, so it's different.
Yeah.
And so
Pierre, who is Ludo's dad.
Pierre storms out to the patio and attempts to do some pull-ups, I guess, just to release his energy, release his tension.
His anger.
Yeah. And Ludo makes amends with her dad, Pierre, and they're seen fixing themselves a snack shortly after that. So I guess they kind of made up a little bit.
Yeah, for a little while.
Yeah. But it's going to be a rocky relationship throughout the film.
Yes, of course. Just how Zach and Crazy also had a pretty rocky relationship with his dad, Gervais.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a similarity here.
Yeah, for sure. So next we see Jerome's dad, a big bearded guy, having his own.
Yeah, so he's taking his own and the neighbor kids carpooling to school. That's really what he's doing. Yeah, so he's carpooling them.
He's taking his own kids and the neighbor's kids.
Yes.
To school all together. Ludo's dad tells him he will start taking Ludo with a psychologist, and that everything will get fixed, quote unquote. Ludo's dad seems ashamed and wants to make himself seem better in front of the other neighbors to not have to worry about Ludo
and the entire family reputation.
yeah, exactly. And the kids are at school, and Jerome refuses to speak to Ludo. Their teacher lets Jerome change seats to not have to sit next to Ludo, and Ludo is sad and cries to her sister during recess.
It is very sad.
The teacher almost reminds me of our French teacher that we had at San Diego State.
Can we say her name or no?
No,
I guess we shouldn't expose her, but
she kind of reminds me of her.
she was
She
really
was
nice.
she was attractive.
Yeah. Oh well, of course you'll notice that about her. But I remember she was really nice, and I remember that every time, because a lot of times we as students would already get to class before her, and I remember she would just start walking down towards her podium, and she would be bonjour class.
Yeah.
But then here's the interesting thing
So
about her.
the stereotype is true, right?
A lot of times it is,
Yeah.
and for her it was, because as she was walking by saying bonjour class, all of a sudden you would get a whiff of her underarms.
Yeah.
She would not wear deodorant.
No.
She looked very clean, but she would not wear
Yeah.
deodorant.
She would just go raw, and you could smell that from feet away.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
And like sometimes you would stand next to her, she might hug you, and it'd be like, whoa, like yeah. And she had like no shame in her game. Like she didn't care how she smelled. She's just like, I'm French, and that take it or leave it.
No, I feel that if I went around like that, I would have killed people with my smell.
Yeah. Yeah, she did her, yeah. I could smell her armpits for sure. I mean, she was still attractive, but
Yeah.
that was not pleasant.
Yeah, I guess her husband was used to it. That's my assumption, because I
Yeah,
do know she was married.
she was. So what was weird is that during our semester, she missed a lot of time. She actually missed like a few weeks of the class. And then what was weird is that when she came back, I didn't even notice it. Like girls in the class noticed it. They were like, "Oh, did you notice that now she doesn't wear her wedding ring anymore?" And all the guys were like, "No, we didn't notice that." And all the girls were like, "Oh yeah, I noticed that too."
Girls notice, guys. Most guys don't do it.
No, guys don't notice and they don't care. And if they want something, they'll still probably hit on the chick regardless if she has the ring or not. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. But I think she got remarried, because I know that she ended up having more kids after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
But she already had like two at that point.
Yeah,
So.
no, she ended up having another two, because
Damn.
when I took her, she told us she had 4 kids.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay, that was weird.
I think her first husband was in the film industry because I remember, or something like that, because I remember her saying something like, she told the class, she was like, "Oh, I was at the Toronto Film Festival," like I guess, yeah, I think it was because her husband. She said something like, "My husband works in the film industry." I guess that's why she was there.
Interesting.
So it all goes back to French film. Yeah. So yeah, the teacher in this reminds me a lot of her.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So then we see so Ludo and her parents are actually there at the psychologist appointment. Ludo asks the psychologist if she can play with the toys, to which she lets her do that, even though her parents are wondering, why do you want to do that when you're supposed to be here with us in the meeting? And she said, it's okay, just let her be. I'll talk to both of you.
Mhm.
She asked them, what do you have with she would have been born as? Her mother admits she would have liked the girl, but still accepted her quote unquote son at the end of the day. And after after they meet with the psychologist, they make Lulu believe that she is a boy. So they make her throw all her girl toys and dolls and her clothing to start anew and start acting like a boy.
Right. So Ludo is seen outside approaching a girl and attempts to kiss her, but she pushes Ludo away, saying, "I don't kiss girls," is what she tells Ludo, right?
Yeah, because she actually does believe that she is a girl, which she does really identify as one. But now that her parents are making her act like a boy, she really wants to believe she is a boy.
And so Albert, the bearded guy, approaches the other neighbor from the party in the beginning of the film and tells him his daughter called his own son bent, quote unquote.
Yeah.
He tells him not to take it seriously, but Ludovic overhears their conversation. So Ludo runs to her dad and asks her what bent means, which is assumed to be derogatory due to her father's enraged reaction.
Yes, and we see that Pierre brings out a fly swatter and threatens Ludo with it. Yes.
So Ludo calls him out for trying to keep his reputation in front of the neighbors. Like he's ashamed of her, right?
Yes, he definitely is at this point.
Yeah. So the females in the neighborhood are preparing for another patio gathering. Monique, who is Thierry's wife, is amazed at Ludo's ability to set the table. And Ludo's mom responds with, having a wee wee shouldn't keep someone from setting the table, right?
Yes, of course not. And this should be heard for all these macho guys.
Right, yeah. This whole situation reminds me of the Chicharito situation going on right now, right?
That happened within the past week or
Yeah.
so, right?
Yeah, and it came out of nowhere. I really had no.
And I never understood how that even came about because he was being interviewed
Mhm.
and they asked him a question on what he thinks of the position of women, and his response was that women should be in the kitchen cooking.
Right. It was super random though.
Yeah, and inappropriate, and it's definitely sexist, especially considering that we're now halfway through 2025.
Yeah. Well, he's pretty stupid because I feel like it's already hurting his career. So.
Well, it has been because his soccer division is not renewing their contract with him.
Yeah. So he's gonna have to do some damage control ASAP. I haven't really heard anything from him after that.
I haven't
You would think he'd be apologizing profusely right now, but I haven't heard anything yet, so we'll see what happens.
I have a feeling he's already being canceled.
You think he's gonna pull a Tiziano Ferro, whatever?
Well, his name is Tiziano Ferro. And for those of you who are not familiar with Tiziano Ferro, he is an Italian singer. And he was actually pretty popular in Mexico, maybe about 20 plus years ago. But then he said something derogatory towards Mexican women that immediately got him canceled. He apologized profusely, but that did not work.
Yeah, his career in Mexico never really bounced back. Right?
No, it didn't. And he was really popular at one point.
Yeah. So you think Chicharito's gonna do something like that? Because what happened after that with Tiziano?
What do you mean? What happened?
Like what? Like there was still more to his career after that, though, right? Like
Yeah, there was, and
public.
he released and he was set to release more singles, but they all flopped after that because of what he said. What he had actually said was that Mexican women have mustaches and that they're unattractive. And he said that on an Italian talk show, but he never thought that it would make way across the pond, but it did.
Yeah.
Because actually, someone in Mexico who actually spoke Italian fluently got a hold of it, and let's say that spread that throughout all media. And yeah, people were enraged.
Right. Yeah. But what happened in Tiziano's personal life after that, though?
Yeah, well, I know that he later came out as gay, maybe around 2010. This was sometime during the early 2010s. He came out as gay.
Chicharito's gonna do that?
I'm not saying that because I know that he is married and both he and his wife have started a family.
Right.
But I just feel that I feel that what he did say was pretty sexist.
Yeah.
Misogynistic for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so this what they're saying here reminds me a lot of what he was saying.
And maybe he should have watched this movie to get that anyone can set the table, no
Yeah.
matter what your gender is.
Maybe Chivas is gonna have him do these as like a training, like a sensitivity training. You need to watch Ma Vie and
And then they'll take him back.
Maybe. You never know. You might need to watch
Because
Crazy.
with him, and actually, it's even more shameful that Chivas does not welcome him welcoming him back because that's the that's the soccer team from his hometown because he's originally from Guadalajara.
Right. So even his hometown team doesn't want his ass. So that's pretty bad.
It,
Yeah.
what's worse, him or the cheating couple at the Coldplay concert?
Yeah. They're both pretty bad. They're both on Schitt's Creek right now. Not the show, like literal Schitt's Creek, in a creek full of shit.
Yeah, well, what a description.
Anyways, so at this point, cut to Monique asks how the appointments with the psychologist are going, and Hannah, or Anna, really how
Yes.
you would say it.
Yes, it's Anna.
But yeah,
Mhm.
but it has a H that's silent.
Yeah.
So Anna says they're going really well, and Lisette responds that Albert says that crazy people don't need to be cured by other crazy people. And Monique says that if her daughter wanted to be a boy, she wouldn't know what to do. Elizabeth, Ludo's grandmother, says
Mhm.
that we should let children live their fantasy. But Thierry says that's nonsense. And Anna interferes by asking if the meat is ready. She kind of changes the subject.
Yes.
And upset and defeated, he goes back to the grill. Thierry, right?
Yeah, he just goes back on, turns around and just goes back to grilling.
Yeah, I guess that's what the guy's place is supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
And all these dads basically work together at some sort of advertising agency, right?
Yes.
Something like that. So
We get the idea that that's what it is.
yeah. So Ludo's dad, Pierre, is drawing something, and Albert is there, and he gives him advice. He's like, "Fix the lettering here; it'll be good." And then Albert asks if Pierre is nervous, and Pierre says no, which he might be lying for whatever reason. But then Pierre asks if Albert has been nervous ever since the issue happened with the kids, between Jerome and Ludo, right?
Yes.
And he says, "Oh, you haven't been the same since then." He assures him, "Oh, Ludo's been okay since he's seen the psychologist. He's a kind of a weird kid, but he doesn't mean any harm." But Ludo can hear this. He's in the other room and he can hear this whole situation. And Albert says, "Ludo doesn't need a psychologist. You, Pierre, you just need to let Anna stop making decisions for the kids." So he basically kind of disses his wife.
Oh yeah, of course.
And Pierre says, "Oh, every kid is different. You can't raise them all the same. I mean, you wouldn't know because you only have one kid." And then he thinks, he's like, "Oh, sorry, I forgot," because his other kid passed away.
Yeah, of course.
Then Albert says, "I had one kid taken away from me and I won't have another." So they get into an argument there, but then Ludo walks in and he breaks it up by just saying, "Oh, the food's ready." And so they see him and they just stop arguing.
Yes.
And then,
Remember, she's a she at this point.
oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And Albert walks out of the room, and then Pierre tells Ludo, "Sorry, I got wrapped up in my work." And Pierre asks Ludo if she wants to spend time with him. And we cut to Ludo's playing soccer at the park.
She falls down.
Yeah, she falls down, but her dad is cheering him on, and they're both happy in that
Yes.
scene. We cut to Ludo eating snacks on the grass right after that. And then she's at home, and her sister walks in and she asks her, "Am I a boy or a girl?"
So it says,
So he says, "Let's say a boy. At your age, things are so easy. When you're 15 and you start dating, it's hard. Things get more complicated." So she asks her again, "Am I a boy or a girl?" And she says she doesn't know. And she tells her about chromosomes and how they create your gender if you're a boy or a girl. And she mentions the X and Y chromosomes. Then she asks, Ludo asks, "Oh, but doesn't God decide if you're a boy or a girl?" So he says, "Well, yeah, I guess so." So we cut to he's imagining this, and we see God's hands creating Ludo from chromosomes, and he throws these chromosomes down at their house, and we see these X and Y letters getting thrown down, but then one of the X chromosomes, he's supposed to get two X
so
chromosomes.
he gets two X chromosomes and one Y chromosome, and two of the chromosomes are supposed to land inside the house.
Right.
Yes.
But then one of the X chromosomes gets thrown into the trash.
Yeah, so we see one X and one Y fall into the house, but then we see the other X gets thrown in the trash, and it just so happens that it's actually one of those bins, like from the that you have outside when the trash gets picked up by the truck every week, and it has the lid open. So you just see the egg falling in, and then as soon as it falls into the bin, you just see the lid fall closing.
Yeah. Speaking of which, tomorrow's trash day, so we gotta have that at the ready. Right?
Yes, we do.
So yeah, so seeing that visualization seems to make sense to Ludo. Kind of like, oh yeah, I'm a girl. Just one of my other X chromosome went in the trash. It didn't go in the chimney. And people are like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then but when he imagines that God doing that, and then he looks at the wall and he sees that they have a cross on the wall, and he's like, oh,
Wait, who does?
Ludo.
She.
Yeah, she.
Sorry, I'm going to have to keep correcting Kevin because he keeps misgendering Lulu at this point.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. So Ludo looks at the wall and sees the cross, and she says, "Oh, real funny," because of the whole chromosome situation. Here, yeah. So like seeing that cross on the wall, it kind of reminds me of Crazy, because it has this religious overtone to it. Not that it's a religious movie. The cross is a theme of the film, and when you think about it, these two movies have a lot of parallels. I guess just being queer in the French-speaking world is a theme, and French toxic masculinity, which doesn't get talked about very often, I don't think, is a theme. So yeah, if you see these two movies, these are a pretty good double feature actually. If you watch them back to back, you can see the parallels between them.
Yes.
So we cut to, and we see a public bathroom as the camera pans to the right, and we hear Ludo asking how she looks when she pees, and her friend Jerome looks at her feet from the bottom of the stall, and he tells her that her feet look normal, but then Ludo starts peeing, and Jerome's like, "What's going on?" And you're peeing, and then she says, "Oh, it's a test." And Jerome says, "For what?" And she tells Jerome, "I'm a boy girl." And Jerome's like, "Boy girl? Like, you're crazy. That's what you are." And she tells him how her other X chromosome fell in the trash. That whole thing that she imagined, and Jerome says, "What type of girl are you?" kind of angrily. And back at home, Ludo sees her mom talking to her sister, saying how she's a little woman now and she's proud of her. And then the mom walks out, and then Ludo walks in and asks, "Why are you a little woman now?" And she explains her period, but she doesn't Ludo doesn't really get that, doesn't understand that, because she looks at it like, "Oh, so that's is that what makes you a girl then? Like, will I get that or will I not?" And she's like, "Well, it's a rule. Like, you need that to be a girl."
Of course.
I think Ludo at that point is like, "Okay, how do I get that? How do I get that to be a girl?" And cut to, they're at school again, and they're doing a play version of Snow White.
Yes.
From what we see, and the teachers like, "Snow White, where are you, Snow White?"
Because she's like Blanche Neige, Blanche Neige.
Yeah, exactly. So this reminds me of Blancanieves that we talked about.
Yes.
One of our episodes, right? The Spanish great version of Snow White.
Yes.
Starring Maribel Verdú.
Well, yes. Well, she's one of the main. She's one of the main characters. Yes, because she resembles the evil queen in that. She's the evil stepmother.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, and speaking of Maribel Verdú, we will soon talk about another movie that also features her.
Right.
Yes.
I could talk about movies with her all day.
Yeah.
She has a lot of great films.
Yes, she does.
I think this school production of Snow White is still better than the recent Disney version that they did. Somehow, it just has a better production value.
Than the recent Snow White?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, they weren't. Peter Dinklage is still pissed off about that.
I don't blame him.
About these fucking doors, fucking Snow White. He's fucking pissed. Google that if you haven't seen that. So this is still better than that Disney version. And So they need to do the scene, so they just start going into the scene. The teacher is just like, okay, Snow White she should be in the box where she's sleeping.
Or in the in the casket.
Yeah, in the casket. So they just start the scene, the families are all there watching. And Jerome, he plays the prince, right? And he goes to the casket to kiss Snow White, and he looks in there, and it's Ludo laying there as Snow White. And she does.
Signals to Jerome to.
Yeah, exactly. And Jerome freaks out, and he's like, "What the hell?" And so he steps back, and everybody notices it. All the other actors are like, "What are you doing?" The teacher's like, "What are you doing?" And then the parents are like, "What are you doing? What's going on here?" And all of a sudden, we see Ludo stand up, and everyone's like,
Then Pierre and Albert start looking at each other like, what the hell?
Yeah, Albert is piast. And
So
apparently,
what happened is that the way that Ludo got to be in the casket is because he had locked Sophia, who was supposed to play Snow White. He had locked her in the room, which we assume that it's the dressing room or something like that.
Yeah.
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 And she's just telling him, Ludo, let me out. But yeah, so what she did was that she had actually placed a chair on the door as a way to lock her in because the actual door didn't have a lock.
Right, exactly. Like you've seen that in other movies.
Oh yeah.
I've seen that too.
Oh yeah.
Not to. I mean, when I was a kid, I guess I would do it to like block the door.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So after the show is over, they walk out of the school, and all the townspeople are just staring at them softly, and they have to take this walk of shame out of the school to their car. And after that, the family is at the dinner table debating the whole situation. And they're saying how the psychologist hasn't done anything, hasn't cured him, quote unquote.
Or her.
Her. And Pierre says that Ludo embarrassed them in front of everybody. But the grandma is pretty cool, pretty liberal, and she says it doesn't matter if he's a boy or a girl, she's still your child. And so she's like, you gotta take care of her regardless. So then Pierre then says he'll convince Ludo by force. But then his wife gets in the way because he was gonna like go yell at him or maybe hit him or something like that. But then Anna gets in his way, and then Pierre is about to hit her, and she tells him like, "Do it!" But then he stops and he just walks out of the house. And then the mom looks up at Ludo sitting on the stairs, and Ludo says that she didn't mean to do anything bad. She just wanted to do a little surprise, just for fun, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, I guess a surprise, but I think she also wanted to keep expressing her attraction for Jérôme, and that was a perfect opportunity for her.
Yeah. Well, just to happen to be in front of everybody, right?
Okay, so we keep getting sounds from this Affleck stuffy. All right, let's keep going. All right. So Lula is back with the psychologist, and the psychologist asks her about the boy girl situation. So she responds by saying that she has been missing an X chromosome. Yeah. So Hannah is supportive, but Pierre is pretty embarrassed about the situation. So he starts to laugh and he yells at Lulu and says he is tired
of his story.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so he walks out of the office, and his wife chases after him and tells him to stop and try to understand. And then he blames the whole situation on her. And then she says, "Oh, you're an idiot. How could I have married you?" And he says, "I asked myself the same thing." And I think that astronomer guy's wife is saying that too. She's asking herself that now too after this whole Coldplay situation, right?
Yeah, after knowing that he went with the chief of HR to the
Right.
Coldplay concert.
Hugging to yellow,
Was it too
I
yellow?
don't know. I just threw that up there. But did you see the commercial that Astronomer did with Gwyneth Paltrow?
I saw that. And why
Pretty
is
funny.
why is Gwyneth Paltrow getting involved
I
with
guess they hired her though. They hired her to be like a temporary spokesperson for Astronomer.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was very funny.
Yeah, it just what a way to take advantage of the situation.
At least we have closure on this Coldplay astronomer situation now. We cut to, and Ludo is in class, and the boys are making fun of her. And then some lady comes to the class, and they tell Ludo that she needs to get all her things and come with her. And she seems pretty pissed off, the lady. So Ludo goes, and the parents are talking with the director of the school, and the director says that 20 parents have signed a petition to kick Ludo out of the school.
Yeah, and he mentions that he would not like to expel Ludo, but unfortunately, because of all the signatures and a lot of the parents complaining, he's just going to have to comply.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So we cut, and the mom is at a bus stop with Ludo, and she's pissed. So she tells Ludo to just stop with his whole
with her whole boy girl thing.
Right. Yeah. So we cut, and we see that Ludo's soccer team has won this match that they just had, and they're kind of celebrating, and they're in the locker room, and the other boys start making fun of Ludo, and they're about to beat her up. And so Jerome sees this, but he just walks away. He knows that these other boys are gonna beat up Ludo, but he walks away. And her two other brothers who are on the team are seeing this too, and they kind of don't know what to do. But one of the brothers is kind of about to get up and fight, but the other brother holds him back. He stops him from intervening. So I guess we just assume that Ludo gets beat up by these other boys. And after that, at the dinner table, they say that they can't find Ludo. Ludo is nowhere to be found, and so that brother, one of the brothers, blames the other brother for not fighting back. That's why Ludo is missing. That's why she ran away at this point. And so the dad says, "Oh, we have to go to the police then. If she's missing, well, we have to go to the police." So then the mom looks around, and she goes to the garage just to start smoking, and she's sitting in her car in the garage smoking, and she's kind of crying, not full on crying, but somewhat crying.
Yeah, you just see some tears coming down.
Yeah, and then she just gets up and starts walking around the garage, and she randomly checks the freezer, and she gets scared because Ludo is in there. Actually, she's kind of like semi-frozen, but you can see that she's alive. But it kind of scares her mom, and then Pierre comes in, and they pull Ludo out of the freezer. And now the dad and everybody is happy to see Ludo. I guess they were so worried that she might be missing or dead, so they were relieved to see her. So the dad asks Ludo if she wants anything you want, like we can do it for you, get it for you. And then Ludo asks if she can wear a skirt to Sophia's birthday party, and the dad's like, "What? Like, no, like anything but that. Like, no, like not that." And but then the mom and grandma are like, "Just okay, shut up. Let's just let her do it." And so he's like, "Okay." So we cut to Ludo and the family walking in the park, heading to the party, and Ludo has her skirt on, and she's really happy. And the other families and kids see them, and they see Ludo with the skirt, and they're kind of like, "What's up with the skirt?" They ask the parents, and so they say that they're letting Ludo wear it because it will kind of take away the taboo. They're like, Ludo, at least psychologically speaking, they're saying that maybe Ludo is just attracted to this lifestyle because they keep banning it. So they're gonna like try it out, not banning it, letting Ludo do whatever. That way it stops being a taboo,
Yeah, of
and
course.
she's less interested in it, supposedly. So they try that route. And so yeah, and then they end up having kind of a good time at the party. The mom is dancing with the other ladies there, and yeah, they end up having kind of a nice time. And the other parents are like, "Okay, well, yeah, if you want to take away the taboo of it, go right ahead." So they let them do that. Hey, we're back.
We are.
So we had to do this in two parts. Once again, Ma Vie was part two.
Yes. So, well, all sorts of things happen. It gets really late, so we just have to continue it the next day. But we are back, and
So it's after the party that they go to at the park, and they try to take away the taboo by letting him wear the skirt.
Yes.
And
or her, letting her
wear the skirt. And the other families seem okay with it in the moment, and it seems like they're having fun. They're dancing and they're having a good time. Everyone seems to be happy, so you don't really think anything of it. But then the next day or so, the dad comes home and he's kind of breaking down, crying, and they ask him what's going on, and he says that he's been fired from the company because supposedly because he has the least seniority. They, like he says, they told me since I'm the last one to come in, I'm the first one to leave. But he kind of doesn't buy that in a way, or the family doesn't buy it. And then Ludo hears this and asks if it's her fault. Mm-hmm. And her dad says, no, it's not. It's because of stupid people. So that's what he thinks anyway. That's what he tells her. But then the mom is really upset and she says, everybody was smiling and happy at the party, but now they show how they really feel. They're a bunch of hypocrites. And she does tell Ludo, yeah, everything is your fault. And she gets really angry at him. And it's kind of interesting because at this point you see like a kind of a role reversal from what I noticed. You see, the dad started off being more the hard ass on everything, and the mom was really lenient. But around this point, the mom starts being a hard ass, and the dad gets more, which I find interesting. But yeah, it makes the story more interesting, I think. And we cut to Ludo at the psychologist playing quietly with the toys, which is the usual thing when kids go to a psychologist. They kind of let them play with the toys to let their guard down, and then they talk to them after that when they're ready. And the mom is outside smoking, and so it's just interesting how freely they smoke. Yeah, but I have the feeling that now she's smoking because now she really feels more uptight about the situation and it's really getting to her. And then we see Albert leaving home, to take his son to school, and his wife is happy waving bye to them. And then all of a sudden Ludo's mom comes out of nowhere and she starts to make out with Albert in front of his wife and son. And it's kind of a long makeout, and then all of a sudden she stops, and then he's like smiling from it. You see his face; it's very funny. Yeah. He's like, "Wow, that was great," but then he's like, "Oh crap, my wife's right here," and then he has to tell his wife. He's like, "Oh, she's crazy." Hannah. Yeah. So Hannah is crazy. I don't know what she's on about. Yeah. She's like, "C'est fou." Well, that's what he says, right? It's like, "C'est fou," and his wife is pissed at him because she says, oh, she's not the first one you've done that with. So then we get a little more backstory then in that one line. Like, we get, I guess he's a womanizer somewhat. Yeah, well, I guess that's an interesting way to put it. Right, or at least he's making out with other chicks. I mean, yeah, but what is the purpose of that other than you're hurting your wife by doing that? Right, exactly. So yeah, his wife is pissed at that point. And then I don't think we see Alvera really after that, or them there. Oh, I mean, not till the very end. Yes. I don't think. So, but Anna walks away and she's happy to get back at Alvera for firing her husband, basically. Mm-hmm. And then we cut to Ludo's dad is at home with the kids, and the cool song is playing, the song from the beginning by Zazie Rose. Yes. It's a cool, like, trip hop kind of sound, French trip hop, like a French tricky kind of sound. I never would have thought that they sound like tricky, but I guess that's a good way to compare it. Yeah, I like the sound. I mean, I was always a big fan of that big Sonic Chill sound. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I missed that show. Yeah. So if you're not aware, Big Sonic Chill was a show that was on 94.9 FM 94.9 to be precise. Yeah, in San Diego. Yes. Which was a great radio station. It's probably like the last great radio station in San Diego. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm just putting emphasis on the FM 94.9 because that went through a few different themes, because before it was FM 94.9, it was B 94.9, which they used to play mostly 80s music. Yeah, and I actually really like that station too. Yeah, I really liked it. So, yeah, that's the thing. My last year of high school, well, I guess junior and senior year of high school, I would listen to that 80s station a lot, and that ended up being my favorite station at that point. because I was really getting into 80s music at the time. I was really getting into new wave and stuff like that. So I was really into that station. So then one day I went to listen to that station and it just changed. I was hearing some kind of crappy rock. I was hearing like new metal type of rock and some other grunge rock that I didn't like. And I was like, what the hell happened? What happened to the 80s station? And I thought it was lame, so I was kind of pissed off. But then one day I was driving to school, and I was like, there was nothing else to listen to, so I put it on that new 94.9, and they're playing some song I had never heard of, but I was like, oh, this actually sounds pretty good. I was like, I wonder who this is. I was like, it almost sounds like The Clash, but it was like a song I had never heard of. And then the DJ was like, that was The Clash with this, and I was like, oh, that was pretty tight. And then I kept listening to the station, and then it got better after that. And I was like, station's actually getting pretty good all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was like that for me as well, because I remember when I first noticed that they turned it into this alternative rock station, I actually was pretty upset.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
the first couple months until I noticed that the music was actually getting pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. It got better as time went by. And then they introduced this show called Big Sonic Chill, which they would play.
They would play at night. They would play it pretty much from Sunday. It was from Sunday to Friday night. Well, it was from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Yeah, that's a long time. And so I would stay up late and listen to that show all the time. And it was like my favorite show. And I actually got to be on the show at one point when they did this coup d'etat thing, and listeners got to come in and play their own music. So I actually got to be on there once. But it was after Midori, the original host, was on there, so it was like kind of disappointing. But at least I was still on it. So that was cool.
And she had left right before, actually.
Yeah, she did. She had left like a few months before that. So I just missed the cutoff. But yeah, this is the type of music that I got really into at that time, thanks to that show, honestly. So the dad is home with the kids, and that song is playing, and Ludo is asleep. But then she wakes up and starts to smile, and the kids tell the mom to go outside, and she sees that someone tagged up their garage door, and it says some homophobic remarks on the door. And the mom then decides she's pissed off, she's tired of being embarrassed by the whole situation, so she decides to get the clippers and cut Ludo's hair. Yeah. And this is a real, like, emblematic scene.
Yeah, it really is. And you can see that the whole family is watching her clip off Ludovic's hair, and she gives her this quote unquote masculine cut. But to me, I find this scene very heartbreaking and devastating for her, because I feel that she really didn't deserve it.
Yeah, exactly. And Ludo is crying, and the mom starts to cry too, and the rest of the family kind of watches in horror / sadness. Yeah, and it's crazy how the mom is doing it, not the dad. That just shows you the role reversal that they went through. You would expect something like this to be from the dad, the strict dad, but the fact that the mom is doing it, that's kind of crazy. And yeah, she starts just being more of a hard ass, and he's more accepting in a weird way. And then she walks Ludo to school the next day, and the other families look on as they're walking in, and they're like, oh wow, like Ludo's hair is cut. And then Ludo tells the mom that she hates her and she wants to live with grandma, where everything is better, right? With grandma.
Yeah.
So,
or at least it seems so. But I think in Ludo's case, she is better off with her grandmother.
Right. So then we cut to her riding in the car with grandma, and I like his shades that she has on, and her the Georgetown Hoyas hat that Ludo has. I like that.
Yeah.
I remember my brother had some Georgetown hat like that, and he let me have it after a while. Because it's like it got old and he got new hats, so he was like hand me down. So I remember I would wear that hat sometimes. So it was like I like the fashion in this. I mean, similar to Latin, like you see Latin, which is just from a couple of years before this. Another French film. You see like the fashion, even though they're in France, they're wearing like college, U.S. college football jackets, like Notre Dame jackets and other jackets. It's kind of funny just how people around the world are inspired by American things. And then the dad has a meeting with the family, and he tells everyone kind of like, I have some good news and some bad news. So he says, I got a new job, and everyone's like, woo! The family's happy. But then he says that they'll be having to leave town with his new job. And he tells them where it's at, and the grandma is there, and she says to Ludo, like, oh, that's kind of far.
Yeah, but it's probably better off for them considering everything that they've been facing due to their transphobia.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it just so happened to work out where he needed a job and he could only get it hired, somewhere else. And then, then they could get a change of scenery too and change the whole situation. So the mom asked Ludo, what does she want to do? Does she want to stay here with grandma or go with them? And then Ludo says that her stomach hurts. If I was her, I would have stayed with grandma. Right?
Yeah, I would have as well. That would just be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Well, and then her case,
right?
She, like I said earlier, she was better off with her.
Yeah. So we cut to Ludo is having a nightmare. You could hear her tossing, turning in her sleep, and she says, "Oh, like, no, 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 no," and then the grandma comes in and hugs her and helps her go back to sleep. So from that, it's like you don't know when that takes place. It made me think that he stayed with her. But then we cut to a fantasy sequence like the one that we see in the beginning of the film. But in this fantasy, we see Ludo has long hair again. And in this fantasy sequence, she is marrying Jerome. And the whole family is happy. And it's like a really happy affair. And then all of a sudden we see Albert hammering. He's hammering this for sale sign on their house. Mm-hmm. And then we see the family packing their stuff to leave. So then I guess Ludo ended up deciding to go with her parents, to where her dad's new job is at, which surprised me. It made me. Why do you think she decided to do that? I think because she thought, at the end of the day, they're my parents. They're the ones who brought me to this world. Mm-hmm. And have been raising me, and not just that, but my siblings are around too. Yeah. I'm better off just staying off with them, and I know that she was close to her sister, but I'm assuming that that's why she ultimately decided to go with her parents instead of staying with her grandmother. Well, it made me sad for the grandma, because then the grandma is kind of saying goodbye, but then she's just too sad, so she just leaves. Yeah. She just kind of leaves in a hurry. Yeah, I think she's not only was she sad, but I think now she's concerned that she'll be alone. Right, yeah, exactly. So as they head out in their car, we see Thierry's family wave bye to them, and they wave bye. We see the camera, the POV is from the car. Mm-hmm. Passing by the other houses. And then they pass by Albert, but you see Jerome stares at them as they leave. He doesn't wave, he doesn't smile, he just stares kind of sternly. And it's a bit sad, the fact that it ended that way. And then suddenly you see Ludo's pink dress fly out of the window of the car, and it just flies. And it lands right in front of Albert. And he's like, what the fuck is this? So he just kicks it. He's like so upset that he just kicks that dress. And they leave that town. And then cut to, they're at their new home. And the kids are playing outside. And the mom tells them to quiet down. So they quiet down, go away from her. And then the dad tells the mom that maybe this phase is over for Ludo. Like, Ludo won't be wearing dresses anymore. So they think. And then we see Ludo sitting outside on a bench, and she sees a billboard of that Pam character, that Barbie. The Barbie-esque character. Barbie meets Pamela Anderson character. Why do you say it meets Pamela Anderson? Well, I guess just the fact that her name is Pam. Yeah, but what does that have anything to do with it? I don't know. I feel like they wouldn't have named her that if Pamela Anderson wasn't a big deal at the time. That's still weird thing to say. Okay. And then we see this kid with a slingshot shooting rocks at Ludo behind her. And that kid runs up to Ludo and says his name is Chris and he wants to play. And he's this redhead freckled boy, and Ludo's kind of caught off guard. It's like, what is this boy? Why does this boy want to play with me? And then in a strange twist, we hear a voice in the distance saying, Christine, Christine, come home. And this Chris character looks back and runs off, and he looks ashamed. And Ludo is like in shock from that, because here Ludo saw this kid and he looked like a boy, but then his name is Christine, so he's like, oh wow, like you're a girl? Or so then he has this revelation in his head, like, oh, there are other kids kind of like me.
Yeah.
And we cut to Ludo's mom is hanging clothes outside, and this lady walks up to her and sees her, and she says, my daughter Chris is having a party, and would your son Ludo like to come? And she says, sure. She invites her, and they decide to go. So they go to the party, and Chris is dressed like a princess, and Ludo is dressed like a musketeer or something like that. And then they kind of go off alone together, and then Chris asks if they want to change costumes, if they want to trade costumes, and Ludo's like, oh, like, are you sure? And Chris is like, yeah. So Ludo agrees, and when they're about to have cake, Ludo's mom sees, and Chris's mom sees that Chris has on Ludo's costume, has on the musketeer costume, and so all of a sudden Ludo's mom freaks out right away, like really. Oh, she
already had the feeling of what was happening.
Yeah, really instantly. So she goes and runs around and tries to find Ludo, and she finds Ludo, and Ludo is running away in the dress that Chris had. But then the mom just runs over to her, and she just slaps the shit.
Yeah, she just slaps her right across the face, but right. Pretty hard. Not just. She doesn't just slap her, but she really starts. She just grabs her and shakes her around. Yeah. But she was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
yeah.
She's pissed.
Yeah.
But then Chris catches up to them and the other people from the party, and Chris tells the mom that Ludo didn't do anything wrong. It was Chris's idea. And quickly, Ludo's mom feels guilty, so she runs after Ludo, but she can't find her. And she looks up and she sees that Pam billboard there, and she's kind of curious. And that Pam billboard has stairs on it, like a ladder on it, that where a lot of workers go to change the billboards. They climb that ladder. So Ludo's mom gets curious, so she goes up there and she climbs the ladder, and she looks into the billboard, and she sees Ludo is in this fantasy world of the billboard with Pam, and Ludo's mom calls out for her, but Ludo is sad and mad at her. So it's a little nice surreal sequence. And then suddenly the mom wakes up, and the family is surrounding her, telling her, oh, like, you passed out. Ludo asks if she should leave to change her clothes. Ludo's dad says, oh, just dress how you feel comfortable. That shows you that he's more lenient now, like I was saying. And then the mom gets up and hugs Ludo and says, whatever happens, you'll always be our son. And she hugs and kisses Ludo, and she kind of looks at the camera, too. I don't know if that was on purpose or was it on accident, but I like that they kept that in, because it gives it that realism. I like that. Like Godard, he always used to say, he said, when you make a film, you either start at documentary and end up making fiction, or you start at fiction and you end up making a documentary. So those little touches of realism, I like that. I feel like more films should have that.
That's true. They should.
And so as the mom hugs Ludo, that kind of fades out, and then we hear the end theme, the same song, Rose by Zazie, and we see the end credits. And yeah, that's the end of the movie, Ma Vie. And yeah, watching it again, I hadn't seen it in a while, but yeah, I could really appreciate it even more this time watching it. Just the storyline, like I said, the theme is pretty ahead of its time. And also just the craftsmanship, the filmmaking, the cinematography, I really liked. I could see that this was an influence on Barbie, at least the look of Barbie.
Do you really think that Greta Gerwig was aware of that?
I feel so, yeah. I feel like just the pinks of it, you couldn't deny that. Like Barbie had to take from this in that sense.
That's true. Even though I feel that this is a way more serious movie than Barbie.
Oh yeah, for sure. But, a lot of artists steal from things that are different, that have
no, that's true.
nothing to do with what they're trying to do.
No, that's a good point.
Do you have any other last words on Ma Vie?
Well, I would say that even though this movie was ahead for its time, since it came out in 1997, it has been 28 years since, and unfortunately, I feel that not that much has changed.
Right.
And as hopeful as I'm trying to remain, at the same time, I'm scared for trans folks because, especially during this time with the Trump administration and all the dumb crap that they're pulling right now, like the fact that they're trying to ban gender affirming care or even just in general anything that would protect trans folks and would really benefit them health wise, because gender affirming care is actually crucial to their well being. So, and that's just only one part of it.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Everything works out for the best.
I would hope so too.
Anything else?
Yeah, so one thing that I wanted to mention is that I really do support everyone in the trans community. Actually, I personally know people who are transgender. I have a friend who has a child who is transgender. I really wish the best for the well-being. And yeah, and just want to say that if you're listening to this, reach out to someone who you know that might need the support, because I know these are difficult times and they don't deserve any more obstacles than they probably are already facing.
Yeah, thank you. You want to play the Rotten Tomato game?
Oh, yes. And you know what? I need to start looking up the movie on my phone because I forgot to. I forgot to keep that tab open. Yeah.
It's okay.
So I should I should be able to pull it up in just a moment, and here it is again.
Okay. So from critics, I have a feeling it's not that high. I'll say 79.
No.
Too low? What?
Yeah. Here's the thing, and that I'm gonna point out before I have you guess. It doesn't have that many reviews from critics. And even from the audience, considering that you would expect a lot more.
Right.
It still doesn't have as many more as you would think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of it is just it's kind of forgotten a little bit, the movie, and it wasn't streaming on anything right now. So we had to watch that on DVD.
Yeah.
Actually. And it was a DVD that we bought from this guy in TJ.
Yeah. It's actually a record store that has been around for more than 30 years. It's called La Ciruela Eléctrica, which stands for the electric plum. I never asked him why he named it that way, but I do find it to be a pretty interesting name.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is like Electric Prunes, because there was a group called Electric Prunes in the 60s, so maybe that has something
to do with it.
Okay, let me guess again then. Okay, I guess it's a bit higher. Based on your reaction, I'll say 94%.
93.
Okay.
So, okay.
Second time.
Not bad. You were just off by 1%.
Okay, great. The audience, I'm thinking lower though. I think the audience is a bit lower. But I feel like you said, it doesn't have that many views, and I feel like the people who would watch this,
well, reviews,
are more on the artsy side. Like, people who, like I said, like with crazy people who watch this film are not going to be Fast and Furious people. You know what I mean?
And we don't expect them to be, and we wouldn't want them to be.
So I don't expect it to be super low, but not maybe similar to what I initially thought with critics. So I'll say 80 from the audience. Too high? Too low?
A little bit, yeah.
84?
It's actually a little bit higher.
87?
90.
90? Damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So 90 and 94.
Well, yeah, so it's actually 93 from critics and 90 from audience.
That's pretty even.
Here's the thing. It only has 28 reviews from critics. Yeah. And it has just over 5,000 ratings from the audience. So even this movie is not super well known.
Yeah, it has even less than
Crazy, to be honest, right? Because Crazy had like 10,000.
Yeah, at least from the audience, it had over 10,000.
Yeah, critics was like a little bit more. It was like 32.
I think it was 32 from the critics.
And that movie is not as old as this movie. Yeah, this movie is kind of forgotten. It's a little bit buried. And like I said, we had to watch it on DVD, which luckily we had.
Yeah, because I don't recall it ever be available on any streaming service, at least not for a long time.
I think it was on Tubi, but just we caught it at a bad time. They don't have it right now. But I've seen it on Tubi before because I've seen that cover art before.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so, but just, Tubi's random.
It can
That's what I love about it, and that's what I hate about it, too. Any last words on Ma Vie rules before we close this out?
No, but I just want to say thank you to those who have been listening to all our podcast episodes so far, and this episode concludes Pride Month.
Yeah, the late Pride Month.
The very late Pride Month.
Yeah, and also concludes season 1.
Yes, it does.
Of Briterion Bollection. Thanks for joining the Bollect gang. If you haven't joined the Bollect gang, please join the Bollect gang.
Thanks so much, Bollect gang.
And like I said before, you can watch videos of our podcast by becoming a VIP member on Patreon. If you're so inclined, we would appreciate it. And like and subscribe. Some people don't like when people say that, but otherwise, if we don't say it, who is?
How will we get you to like and subscribe?
Right, exactly. So
show some support of some kind.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in season 2. Later.
Right.
Peace.